Hello everybody and welcome to round 6 of the Formula 1 World Championship for the 2022 season. We are here at Barcelona, the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya for the Spanish Grand Prix. So welcome everybody. I know we didn't do a watch along for the Miami Grand Prix, but to be honest I don't think really much happened. It was a great spectacle, don't get me wrong. But the racing itself wasn't the best. If you're here in the comments, please let me know your thoughts on what you thought of the Miami Grand Prix. Was it a good spectacle but not a good race? I think the safety car did actually help, but I think we've still got issues with wheel-to-wheel racing. And then we're coming here to the Spanish Grand Prix, where, as we've put in the chat, 23 of the last 31 races, the pole sitter has won the race. So yeah, let's see how this race unfolds. Obviously a lot of people are talking that we're going to have better racing at this circuit this year. We'll have to wait until the end of the race to see, but it looks a fantastic day in Barcelona. A lot of people, a lot of the drivers and the teams are saying that the heat is going to be really effective in this race. And of course, Toto Wolff has said before this race, now in the last 10 minutes or so, it's going to be the teams who are able to keep the tyres going for longer. So Alex Albon said before, just going on the formation lap, that the tyres were melting and they were just going around, being quite conservative. So there is going to be issues with the heat and the track temperature. So we'll have to wait and see. There could be a few more pit stops involved just because of the heat here this weekend. But a great spectacle. A lot of fans are out in force there in Spain. A lot of red as well for Ferrari. And of course the home driver of Carlos Sainz. I know he's a Madrid fan, so we'll forget the whole fact that they're in Barcelona. But the fact that he's Spanish, they are showing support. Difficult day yesterday for fellow Spanish Fernando Alonso, who finished 17th, and as you can see on the leaderboard, he is starting at the back of the grid. So because they were going to start 17th, he has taken a grid penalty and he will start from the back of the grid. So I suppose that doesn't really make any difference. So as we'll go through the starting grid now. So as I say, Fernando Alonso starts at the back, Nicholas Latifi in 19th place again. We've got Alex Albon 18th, Lance Stroll 17th. Upgrades for Aston Martin haven't really worked. A lot of talk about them looking like the Red Bull. Sebastian Vettel 16th, so it hasn't worked so far. Zhou Guanyu starts 15th, Pierre Gasly 14th, his teammate Yuki Tsunoda 13th. Not a great weekend so far for AlphaTauri. Esteban Ocon, Alpine again struggling. Esteban Ocon 12th, Lando Norris 11th, unlucky with that track limits, but just out, so unlucky for Lando Norris. Mick Schumacher starts 10th, Daniel Ricciardo is in 9th. Great performance from the Haas drivers. Magnussen starts 8th. We've got Valtteri Bottas in 7th place. Lewis Hamilton starts 6th. Sergio Perez, I think he'll be a little bit disappointed with that. He starts in 5th place. George Russell, great qualifying, he's in 4th. Carlos Sainz, as I say, is in 3rd place. Max Verstappen is 2nd, and once again we have Charles Leclerc starting on pole position. Max Verstappen was unlucky on his final Q3 run, had an issue. The DRS wasn't opening, so wasn't able to get that speed in that final lap. So yeah, Charles Leclerc managed to secure that pole position. Whether Max Verstappen was able to use his DRS, whether he would have took pole, we obviously will never know, but great lap nonetheless from Charles Leclerc to get that pole position once again. We're seeing footage of Carlos Sainz. He needs this win, not just in general for the season, not just against his teammate Charles Leclerc, but to have his first win in front of a packed out crowd here in his home Grand Prix in Spain would, I think, mean the world to him. I think he has been struggling over the last few races or so to compete with his teammate. We saw Charles Leclerc yesterday have an issue, I think, in his first Q3 run. So I don't even know if, I think he spun, that was it. I was going to say he didn't get out of the garage, but he spun in his first Q3 run yesterday. And managed to come back out and secure it on pole. So yeah, we know Charles Leclerc is a fantastic driver. He is prone to the slight mistakes, but yeah, what he showed yesterday is he has that outright pace. Whether Ferrari have the better race pace than Red Bull is another thing that we're going to look and try and find out today. And of course, Mercedes. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, a lot of the teams are bigging up Mercedes at the minute, but of course, Mercedes have made some great progress. The fact that they're starting 4th and 6th, I think they'll very much take it. They've looked competitive in the practice sessions as well. So, and Mercedes are saying that they do have better race pace than one lap pace. So yeah, we'll definitely see if Mercedes can make their way up the order, and we're just about to start the formation lap. So yeah, thank you everybody for joining. I can see Connor's already put a message in the chat to say let's go Charles. Hopefully Mick can get his first Formula 1 points as well. Unlucky for Mick Schumacher, as we know, in Miami, having a incident with is one of his best friends on the grid, we would say, in terms of Sebastian Vettel. So yeah, hopefully, he's starting in 10th place today. Haas again showing that they've got the quality. Magnussen in 8th. Hopefully Mick Schumacher, as you say, Connor, can get some points this race weekend. But yeah, as I say, let me know in the comment section who you think is going to win. We do have the poll up at the minute. So yeah, like I said, let me know who you think is going to win the race. And if you are joining me, let me know where you're watching this race from. Where are you around the world joining us for this race watch along of the Spanish Grand Prix? And as we say, this is going to be an interesting one to see how the new regulations have changed. We've got, of course, Monaco next weekend as well, which we all know Saturday is amazing. Sunday is a bit of a damp squib. Not really much happens on a Sunday. If you qualify in first place, you're more than likely to win the race. Drivers' Championship, Charles Leclerc, 104 points to Max Verstappen's 85. So Leclerc still has some breathing space against Max Verstappen at that time. It's the reliability of the Red Bull at the beginning of this season that's been ineffective really for Max Verstappen. Hasn't been able to claw them points back, but when he does finish a race this season, he has gone on to win it. So yeah, let's see. In terms of constructors, I think Ferrari were on 157, and I can't remember because it just disappeared off the screen. I think Red Bull were on 125. Lewis Hamilton has won the last 5 races here at Spain. I think he'll struggle to win this race starting from 6th, but you never know. We could have an instant like we did in 2016 when Max Verstappen took his first win and both Hamilton and Rosberg took each other out. So we could have another instant between Leclerc and Verstappen. Let's find out as we see the Ferrari garage crossing their fingers for a great start between their two drivers starting 1st and 3rd. So I'll just put my commentary radio in to try and get all the information as we're going along as well. As we see a shot of Fernando Alonso, as I say, starting from the back of the grid. So if you're just joining us, he has taken a grid penalty. He was starting 17th, so it doesn't really matter. He might make them places straight back up on the first corner. So all the drivers are just getting lined up now, so we should be away in the next 30 seconds or so. As we see Fernando Alonso come round the final corner. Let's see how this first corner goes. Do we think Max Verstappen is going to be aggressive? We get the green flag, so the light should be going out as they start to do so. 3 lights, 4, 5 red lights. And we are away. Charles Leclerc gets a good start, but it looks like Max Verstappen has had an even better one. Charles Leclerc has gone very defensive, has had to cross over to that side of the track. I think Max Verstappen might be able to get this here. No, Charles Leclerc defends really well down the inside line. Ooh, George Russell has a little bit of contact against Sergio Perez, but managed to take that place. Takes up to 3rd position. Sergio Perez is 4th. Carlos Sainz has had a terrible start. Not what he wanted in his home Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton is trying to make that move on him, but I think he's going to secure that. Kevin Magnussen and... oh, there's a bit of contact between Kevin Magnussen and Lewis Hamilton. Kevin Magnussen has gone onto the gravel. That's going to be very difficult to get that car out. He's still moving, so the camera's panned. I'm not sure if he's still moving. That's very unlucky for, I think it was Kevin Magnussen. Both Hasses were really close there, but Lewis Hamilton, he's going slowly, so I don't know if he's got contact. He's had issue with that contact as well. Looks like he's scraping a little bit, so I don't know if it's a puncture or not. A lot has happened in this first lap so far of the Spanish Grand Prix, but ultimately for the two drivers at the top, Charles Leclerc is still leading the race with Verstappen 2nd. The engineers for Lewis Hamilton are saying box, box. I think it's a front left puncture, but he also looks like he's scraping. So Carlos Sainz manages to take that place on Kevin Magnussen. Kevin Magnussen goes around the outside and just clips the side of Lewis Hamilton. I don't think there was much Lewis Hamilton could have done there, but both drivers just sort of ran out of room there. So I think that's a first lap incident, to be fair. I'm not sure that's too much of Lewis Hamilton's fault, to be honest. But yeah, as I say, we're on to lap 2 now, and Leclerc's still leading. Verstappen is just under a second. George Russell, like I say, up to 3rd place at the moment. That's a great start for George Russell, especially when you consider now Lewis Hamilton is down at the back. He is, I think, going on to a medium set of tyres. Kevin Magnussen will also be coming into the pits, but we're just checking to see. Oh, it's a slow pit stop for that to get that issue on that left front. It's slow, and he's going back out on soft tyres actually, so I take that back. The graphic came up with a mediums, but he has come up with a soft compound tyre, but 10 seconds in there to try and get that tyre with the issue off. Magnussen is still in the pits as well, so I'm not too sure. He did make it all the way around, so yeah, fair dues for him to make that all the way around. Fernando Alonso is up to 15th place already, so as I said, he started from the back, but he's up to 15th position already. He has the 2 Aston Martins in front, so he should be able to get past them, to be honest. So yeah, he'll hopefully get past them, and he'll be up to 13th position to fight the 2 AlphaTauris. So I will go through, let's just go through the running order, because I don't think Leclerc and Verstappen are having any contact at this time. So yeah, Leclerc is leading the race, Verstappen is 2nd, George Russell has made a place up to 3rd, Perez has also made a place up to 4th, Sainz has dropped to 5th, Mick Schumacher has made 4 places now due to that incident between Hamilton and Magnussen. He's in 6th, Bottas is in 7th, and I've lost the I've lost the graphic because they're too busy showing a replay of what happened at the start. Daniel Ricciardo is in 8th, Esteban Ocon 9th, and Lando Norris is in 10th place. So yeah, as you see from the start, I think Max Verstappen got a much better start than Charles Leclerc, but Leclerc noticed this and went to Max Verstappen's side to try and cover, really going defensive, but was able to get the inside line to take that first corner. But it looks like a little bit of a contact between a Williams at the back as well there. Yeah, Max Verstappen did get a good start, but as you see, Charles Leclerc just sort of goes across Max Verstappen and gets that inside line there to cover Max Verstappen off. So great defensive drive in there from Leclerc to continue to maintain that position. But let's just see where Carlos Sainz had an issue. He had anti-stall. That's why George Russell took that place, and I'm guessing Sergio Perez is going to come down the outside as well. So George Russell took the inside line. Oh, Perez also goes on the inside. And there's that contact between Perez and Russell. So Perez's left front hit George Russell's rear. So yeah, unlucky there. Hamilton on the radio. Yeah, saying he obviously was hit by Kevin Magnussen. I think that's a racing incident, yeah. Yeah, unlucky for Kevin Magnussen. I mean, not really what Gunter would have wanted, considering that they were in 8th and 10th. Gunter shaking his head. That's a moment for Drive to Survive next season, I'm sure. Let me just check that the graphics are all working on the screen. It looks to be, because we can see Hamilton and Magnussen that far back between the others. Obviously, Magnussen and Hamilton will very much like a safety car at some point in this race now, I'm sure. But I'm not sure if we've had a graphic on the screen on how long they think the tyres are going to last. I'm guessing, because considering they're all on soft compound tyres, it's probably only going to last to about lap 12 to 15. I would be surprised if cars weren't coming in before that point, considering the heat and the fact that the tyres were melting on the formation lap, or the lap to the grid, should I say. So, yeah, I don't see that being long, as it looks like Valtteri Bottas has made a move, quite comfortable actually in the end, on Mick Schumacher. So Bottas is up to 6th place. Bottas just looks so much more confident this season in that Alfa Romeo. No further investigation also between Hamilton and Magnussen. We've got a battle for 8th place at the minute. We've got Mick Schumacher in front of them, but it is Daniel Ricciardo versus Esteban Ocon. Esteban Ocon has DRS and pretty comfortable. Yep, no defensive manoeuvres from Daniel Ricciardo. Ocon had DRS and was just too far going into the first corner, so Ocon is now up to 8th position. So we've got the 2 McLarens, 9th and 10th. Lewis sounds like he's giving up, saying, I think you should save the engine, guys, if I was you. He is obviously down in 19th place, but as we know, he's only 5 laps in, so, you know, of course you could save the engine, as it were, but there could be a safety car, there could be an issue. So I would still say he's in this race. You know, it's not like there's only 10 laps to go or 20 laps to go. There is a possibility that Hamilton can get some points here. So, yeah, bit of a strange thing that he would already look at going into the pits and ending his race, as it were, now. So, yeah, but like I said, we're only on lap 5, and anything could still happen in this race. We've got George Russell 4.2 seconds behind the leaders now, so it's very much Leclerc and Verstappen edging away from the rest of the grid at the moment. It's a shame that Carlos Sainz can't seem to keep up at the minute. Perez is 5.4 seconds behind Leclerc. Sainz is about 1.2 seconds behind Perez, as we see Esteban Ocon take in Mick Schumacher on the same corner he's just took Daniel Ricciardo on. So a lap later, he has taken Mick Schumacher as well. So Esteban Ocon is up to 7th place. We've seen Alonso and Vettel having a bit of a scrap here, going into turn 3, the really long third turn 3 corner. As they go to turn 4, Vettel goes defensive. Fernando Alonso tries to go around the outside, but Vettel has defended pretty well there. But this is great, seeing the 2 world champions here, 6 titles between them, having a battle here basically for 13th position. I mean, give it Lewis Hamilton a couple of laps, if he were to overtake him, we'd have all these world titles fighting it out for 13th position. So it is a shame that they're down this order at the minute. But Fernando Alonso has made some great progress so far, up to 14th position with 6 laps down. So yeah, good job so far for Fernando. And Alpine are looking good race pace. As we say, Esteban Ocon is up to 7th place already, and Fernando Alonso has made up 6 places so far. So yeah, good job. I don't know if anybody has been watching the coverage this weekend. If you've been able to, have you seen online this drone footage? I'm going to be honest, it just gives me sickness. You can't really see what's going on. I just think it's a pointless cam. So hopefully they're not going to use that in the future. You can't see him hitting the apex. You can't see him hitting the line. You don't know if there's any issues. For me, it's just a bit pointless. But Fernando Alonso, wow, I didn't expect him to do that. I don't think Vettel did either. That's Fernando Alonso taking the place. I want to watch a replay there as well. We've got a yellow flag between 1 and 2. And who is that? It's Carlos Sainz. Oh dear, dear, dear. That is not what Carlos Sainz needs right now. That's him. He's behind Tsunoda, so he's gone to 11th position. I don't know what that was, whether that's a lockup. We'll have to watch a replay of that. But the great high of the cheer of Fernando Alonso making an overtake to Carlos Sainz, and the groans around the circuit of him going wide. Let's just see a replay. So he's on his own. Going into turn 4, just loses the rear and spins into the gravel. That is weird. That is weird. Just loses the rear. It's the same sort of spin we saw Leclerc do in qualifying yesterday. Dear me. That Ferrari does look a bit unstable at the rear of the car there. Whether Sainz put a bit too much power down, as we see Perez catching George Russell here. Obviously, Perez has DRS, is able to have good closing speed there. So this is Sergio Perez looking for that 3rd position right now. I think he's going to have to wait probably until the next lap to get that move done, because the DRS is most effective on the start-finish straight. I'm not sure he'll probably get it midway through the circuit, but yeah, this looks like Sergio Perez is going to make that maneuver in the next couple of laps or so. So we'll keep an eye on that to see what happens on lap 8 so far. Just checking to see whether the graphic is updating, because we've had issues with the leaderboard in the past. It does look like it is updating, so we'll keep an eye on that, of course. Yeah, he doesn't look close enough in the middle. He's obviously got DRS in the middle sector, but is not close enough. George Russell will obviously be saving his energy for the start-finish straight to keep that position, but I think for Mercedes right now, I think they'd be quite happy if they could just keep up with Sergio Perez and keep the DRS from Perez. But the way Perez is driving, they might not be able to do so. But this does look like Perez is going to make that manoeuvre. Going around the final turn, will get DRS here. George Russell's going to have to defend really hard, but the closing speed, he's getting closer. Is he going to get close enough? He might not, actually. George Russell goes to the inside line to defend, and great manoeuvre there from Russell to defend that position from Perez. He actually wasn't close enough to get that. We've got Fernando Alonso going around the final corner as well, trying to take Pierre Gasly. He looks closer, and he is going to make that manoeuvre. Oh, that looks like Max Verstappen is off. Max Verstappen's gone off at the same place that Carlos Sainz has just done it, and Perez and Russell have overtaken Max Verstappen. He's now in 4th place. Wow. Gonna have to see a replay of that. Was that the same thing that Carlos Sainz has just done? But Max Verstappen going off in turn 4. Is this the overheating of the tyres? Is there issues? As we said, that, you know, I'm surprised that they're not pitting yet because of the overheating of the tyres, but yep, same thing almost. He didn't lose the rear as much as Carlos Sainz, but just couldn't control it and went off into the gravel. But yeah. So his engineer GP saying there was a large gust of wind at that corner, but weird that, you know, Carlos Sainz and Max Verstappen have both had that same incident, really. So is it catching the drivers out? But yeah, I'm going to say the others will be wary now. But he hasn't gone into pit, so he's very much staying in the moment. Sainz didn't pit either as Perez tries again to make that manoeuvre. George Russell defends on the inside line and again keeps the position for the time being. But Perez also has his teammate Max Verstappen behind him as well. So as much as Red Bull will want Perez to get the hurry up, they'll also want to make sure Verstappen overtakes the two of them as well. So we could have team orders between the two Red Bulls at the minute to see if Verstappen can get past Russell first. But I would say this has been eventful, but it's not in too much of that like overtakes. It's more them just going off the track. As we see the two McLarens, Norris taking Daniel Ricciardo. Norris has been feeling unwell this weekend as well, so he's had I think he's had a bit of a cold, so that the heat here is not really going to help him too much, but has managed to take the position on Daniel Ricciardo and is now up to 7th place because he's taken the place off Mick Schumacher as well. So hopefully that makes him feel a little better with that 7th position so far. Yeah, Max. This is not helping Max Verstappen's race at the moment because he's stuck behind his teammate Perez and Russell. I think Perez might have one more go, and then they'll have to let Max pass Perez to have a go on Russell. But oh, again, he looks struggling with that car, Max Verstappen, even off the final corner there. Very twitchy as he goes off that final turn. Does have the DRS, but is not close enough to Perez, and Perez is not close enough to Russell. So I think they're going to have a swapperoonie between the two Red Bulls right now because Perez is not able to get that overtake done on Russell right now. Let's have a look at some of the chat. There's a lot been going on in the last 11 laps. Greg, hi Greg, hope you're well. What happened to Hamilton? Why is he so far behind? He had an incident with Kevin Magnussen at turn 4 on the first lap, so they both collided. Hamilton had an issue with, it looked to be like a puncture on the front left, so he had to box. Kevin Magnussen went into the gravel, he also boxed as well, so that's why both of them are in 19th and 20th place. Rosie's gone, can you not turn the camera to face the screen so we can watch it? Afraid not, because I would be absolutely copyrighted 100%. So unfortunately I can't do that, but I'll try and give you as much information as I possibly can. Yanni's gone, hi, it's me from MotoGP. Unfortunately, I don't think MotoGP's on this. I'm not a great MotoGP avid researcher, so I'm not too sure. I know Jamie does as much MotoGP as possible. He'll have the best knowledge, but welcome. Hopefully we can give you as much information in the Formula 1 as we do on the MotoGP. as I've been talking and looking at the chats, we have had some pit stops. So Carlos Sainz has come into the pits. He's on the medium. Alonso's come in for the medium. Russell's got warning lights. Warning lights for heat. But he's got nobody in front of him, so that's a concern for George Russell at the moment. Gasly's also come in. Zhou Guanyu has come in as well, so they're on the mediums. Tsunoda's in. Ricciardo's in. A lot of pits are going on. Albon's in as well. So everybody's switching. It is on lap 12, so I did say hopefully it'd be between 12 and 15. But they're all coming on to the medium compound tyre. And this could very much be a 2-stop or a 3-stop race. It's dependent on how long the medium compound tyre will last. Obviously the softs will give you the faster speeds, but they're melting a lot quicker with this high track temperature at Barcelona this weekend. So all the data that they gather in winter testing is out the window because it's so much colder in February, of course, than it is right now today, this weekend in Barcelona. So Verstappen is having issues with the DRS flap once again. So on the grid that they were looking at it again, and they had issues with it at the end of the year, very much so with that DRS flap. But it's not opening. It's not opening again. And he didn't have it in qualifying yesterday. That's what compromised his issues in qualifying yesterday. And let's see if he was close enough to George Russell, but that's going to be an issue for Max Verstappen if he hasn't got DRS, and I'm not sure whether they can really fix it in the pit lane, to be honest, apart from using a hammer. Norris is in for the pits. He pit 2.5 seconds. It looks like Mick Schumacher's coming in as well. Who was coming down the pit lane as well? Was that Nicholas Latifi? So everybody's coming into the pits. We've only got Stroll, Vettel, Ocon, Bottas, Perez, Verstappen, Russell and Leclerc. So 8 cars so far haven't pitted. Ricciardo has pitted, but he's put the soft compound tyres on again, and Mick Schumacher. So that is very much that they're going for a free stop because them soft compound tyres will not last. Nicholas Latifi, 3.6 seconds. So we're on lap 13, so if people are joining us, welcome to round 6 of the Formula 1 World Championship at the Spanish Grand Prix. Leclerc is currently winning the race. We've had issues for Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz. Both of them have ran wide at turn 4 going into the gravel. It looked like a huge gust of wind. It sounds funny, but it happened. Both of them had issues going into that corner, so they've both gone into the gravels. Max Verstappen is in the pits as we speak, and George Russell. Russell 2.7 seconds, good stop. Max Verstappen 2.6 seconds, even better stop. Esteban Ocon is in as well. Leclerc comfortably still leading this race. Perez, the gap to Perez is about 14 seconds. Again, if you're just joining us, Lewis Hamilton and Magnussen had a bit of a collision on the first lap, so Hamilton and Magnussen are down the order somewhat now as well. So, Russell is back up to 4th. Max Verstappen is 5th. Carlos Sainz is closing in on Norris and makes that move. Ex-teammates and DRS available has made that place into turn 1. So he's up to 9th. Obviously starting 3rd, not where he wants to be right now. But if he can make that way up the order, damage limitations... I think it's helping, obviously, that Max Verstappen's had issues as well. It's only benefiting Charles Leclerc right now. Bottas is up to 3rd place, but he hasn't pitted at the moment. So it's only Leclerc in 1st, Perez 2nd, Bottas 3rd, and then we've got the 2 Aston Martins in 6th and 7th that haven't pitted so far. Everybody else has. As we see Max Verstappen trying to keep up with George Russell, but at the minute, on this medium compound tyres, George Russell looks like he's pulling away somewhat. So I don't think we're going to be able to tell if his DRS is working because I don't know if he's close enough. Okay. So his engineer for Verstappen is saying that the DRS did work the previous lap. Bottas is in the pits at the moment as I speak, so he's dropping down between the two. How was that pit stop for Bottas? 3.2 seconds, so it was reasonable. I think they'll take that for Alfa Romeo. Stroll is in the pits as well. So the only one that hasn't pitted so far will be Seb Vettel. How did Stroll's pit stop get on? Max Verstappen is closing on Russell now, so hopefully they've fixed that issue for him. It's not telling me what. Oh, 3.6 seconds for Lance Stroll, so a bit average from Aston Martin there. I say 3.6 seconds is average. It is very good, but you know, when you think that some of them can go sub 3 seconds, obviously they'll want to improve on that at Aston Martin. A lot of talk, as we know, about the green Red Bull, as they were calling the Aston Martin coming into this weekend, because the side pods do look very similar to the Red Bull. But and everyone was talking about, oh, if Aston Martin are going to be amazing now, it's because they've copied. But in terms of their actual pace overall, it hasn't really made that much of an improvement. And of course, you know, they do have different engines, so it is Red Bull powertrains for obviously the Red Bull teams, and AlphaTauri and the Mercedes for Aston Martin. But yeah, it hasn't really looked that good so far for Aston Martin, considering that change in design slightly. Max Verstappen should have had DRS there, but the flap wasn't open again, because it was green to say he should have it, but once again the rear ring wasn't open. This is going to be really interesting, because if he can't get that to work, he's gonna struggle to. He's not going to win this race if it goes like that, because he won't keep up with Leclerc. It may be that his teammate Perez stays ahead of him. Team radio might be saying to confirm. Yeah. So the engineer said that it's not working. I think it just wants to work, you know, when it feels like it. It's a hot day, you know. Maybe it doesn't want to open every lap. It's just chilling out. You know, that Fernando Alonso gif of him chilling out in Brazil. Oh, it opened slightly and then closed immediately. That was open for like less than a second and then closed again. But something about that Red Bull, you know, especially Max Verstappen's Red Bull, that just doesn't want to work with that DRS flap. Like, as we said, going into the final races of last year, Qatar, I think they were having issues with it. I think Saudi Arabia, maybe they had issues with it as well. So it's becoming a consistent problem. And you know, when you think that they changed regulations, it is open this lap. So it's had a good telling off by the Red Bull teams, and it's decided it wants to work. So he's closed in on George Russell. He's going. George Russell takes the inside line again to defend, and he's still ahead. George Russell's doing a mighty job here at defending the Red Bulls. Verstappen's trying to go down the outside of turn 3, but can't get the manoeuvre done. George Russell is still ahead at this time of Esteban Ocon. Of Max Verstappen. It's only because Esteban Ocon has overtaken Sebastian Vettel. Vettel still hasn't pitted, by the way. So he's done 17 laps on this soft compounded tyre in 7th. So not too bad, but he is going to start falling away at the minute. He has got Carlos Sainz catching him. So I would be surprised if Vettel can keep Sainz in the Ferrari behind him much longer. As we're still seeing the battle between Max Verstappen and George Russell. Perez is boxing now, so... Oh, I said Vettel was the last one, but of course Leclerc and Perez haven't pitted yet. But Perez is coming into the pits. So of course with Perez pitting, I will expect Leclerc will come in the next lap as well. Decent stop by Red Bull there. 2.8 seconds. Red Bull do a good job on their pit stops. So Max Verstappen, the DRS didn't open again for Max Verstappen. I'm pretty sure he was close enough to George Russell. So George Russell is really getting a great help here from the DRS flap on the back of Max Verstappen's car right now, because it is saving him and keeping that place. As Carlos Sainz does make that manoeuvre on Sebastian Vettel, we said it was only a matter of time. Vettel hasn't pitted yet. Yeah, it was a no-brainer that move was going to be done. Vettel's got about 4 seconds between him and Norris now, but I expect that gap will close pretty quickly as well. So I think they might have to consider pitting Vettel unless he's going really long. But ooh, Max Verstappen had a very twitch there. Wow, that could have been a serious accident. I'm not sure what turn that is. I think that was turn blah 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 blah. Turn 5, I think turn 6. You know, he's not very happy considering the DRS won't open, as you would be in the hot conditions. He's getting a bit angry. Angry Max is coming out, but I think if you were that close to George Russell each time and all you needed was that DRS and it's not working, yeah, you're going to be angry, especially considering Charles Leclerc is miles away right now. He's in a world of his own. He's 30 seconds in front of this battle. George Russell again goes to the inside line. George Russell is using that defensive maneuver, but Max Verstappen's closed. Is he going to go around turns 3? No, he can't make that stick. George Russell once again keeps doing the same thing, goes to the right hand side into turn 1 and takes that inside line. Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez before him can't deal with it. George is really earning his money right now for Mercedes. Speaking of Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton is 16th at the moment, so has sort of made his way up the grid. Kevin Magnussen is still down in 20th, but I don't know if that's car issues or just whether he was behind anyway then. He's been lapped by Leclerc, I think, from the driver tracker. He needs a safety car, no doubt. But the way this Red Bull's looking unstable for Max Verstappen, it could come. Because, yeah, that previous lap, just the rear once again twitched of that Red Bull. I mean, the issue for Red Bull is the fact that that DRS could open when it doesn't need to. If it's really having issues, as George Russell's engineer is telling him that Sergio Perez is going for a 1-stop. I mean, that is brave, considering we've got another 40 laps to go. I mean, we know Perez is good on his tyres, but doing that long of a stint is, yeah, one hell of a job if Sergio Perez can get that done. But Christian Horner is scratching his head right now, trying to figure out how the hell they're going to get past George Russell. Let's see that manoeuvre where he just twitched. Oh, I don't know if it's because he hit the curb. It might not have been the wind. I think it was just because he touched the yellow sausage curb on the right-hand side. As Mick Schumacher looks to get the place done on Daniel Ricciardo. I will do an overall update in a minute once the board comes back up. Right, okay. So we're 20 laps in. Charles Leclerc and Vettel, should I say, are the only two drivers that haven't pitted right now. We've got George Russell in second. Verstappen team radio. They're saying Russell's moving in the braking zone, but I mean, the last lap I didn't see it, but I'll quickly go through it before they get to turn 1. Russell second, Verstappen is third, Perez is fourth, Bottas fifth, Ocon sixth, Sainz is up to 7th, Vettel is 8th, Norris 9th, and Tsunoda is 10th. Alonso is up to 11th place right now. Does Verstappen have DRS? I can't see because we're using the front on board. He's closing, but not closing enough. George Russell didn't even defend that. Verstappen wasn't closing enough. He didn't even do any defensive manoeuvres right there. So we got Mick Schumacher is 12th. Daniel Ricciardo is 13th. Gasly 14th. Zhou Guanyu's 15th. Hamilton is 16th. Stroll 17th. We've got Albon 18th. Latifi's 19th, and Kevin Magnussen is at the back of the grid right now. As I say, Kevin Magnussen very much praying for a safety car. Obviously a safe incident that would allow a safety car, of course. But I think, you know, him and Gunther are very much hoping that they can get back into this race somehow. And I think it would be a safety car. A virtual safety car obviously wouldn't help him at all. As Charles Leclerc is being told to box this lap, so he's 20 seconds ahead of George Russell right now, so as long as they get the pit stop right, this should be pretty comfortable for Ferrari right now. He's in a world of his own. Can they deal with the pit stop? Comes in nice and slowly. Very calm. 2.2 seconds. Jeez. Great job from Ferrari there. He's just... yes, a nice little Sunday drive. So, what the gap will be right now, so we can see Russell and Verstappen coming down the start-finish straight, but Leclerc going into turn 1. Russell is 5.4 seconds behind Leclerc. To be fair, that's not a bad job considering. So obviously, you know, Leclerc has had worse tyres over the last few laps or so, staying on them softs for a little bit longer. But yeah, 5 seconds the gap between them two. They're telling Max to press the DRS after curbing. I'm not sure whether that's because maybe there's vibrations. I'm not sure. In terms of asking to do it after a certain point. Vettel is now pitting, so all drivers have now at least done one pit stop. Hopefully it'll tell me what the time in the pit box was for Vettel, but it's not telling me right now. Sergio Perez, by the way, does have fastest lap, so at the minute. No, it didn't tell me, but Vettel is down to 17th place, so yeah, not a great day so far for Aston Martin. Just trying to see if anything's really happening, because apart from the pit stops, we haven't really had that much action over the last 5 laps or so. I'm being a bit greedy, obviously asking for a bit more, but it has been very much this battle between Russell and Verstappen. I think it wouldn't be a battle if it wasn't for DRS not opening. It did work on that lap, so he is closer now to George Russell. Max is very angry, saying he's pushing the button 50 or 60 times to try and get it to work, and they're saying just press it and hold it once to try and get it to work, because it keeps closing when you're pressing the button. But of course, you know, he's pressing it because he doesn't think it's opening, and he's not getting that speed going into that start-finish straight. Obviously, there is another one. As we see Lewis Hamilton coming in, is that Lewis Hamilton giving up? Or no, he is pitting. He is pitting. So he's going on a set of medium tyres, 2.6 seconds. Again, Lewis Hamilton is another one that I think we'll be hoping very much for a safety car. I think if one did appear now, of course he has just pitted, so everyone else may consider doing so. But again, they have also gone on to medium compound tyres, so they should go a little bit longer than if you were to pit on softs. The only drivers on soft compound tyres after pitting are Mick Schumacher in 11th, Ricciardo who's 12th, and the two Astons in 15th and 16th. Verstappen is closing. He does have DRS. George Russell goes to the left-hand side again. Max Verstappen goes across. Oh, my man, George Russell has just taken Max Verstappen. Oh, Max Verstappen's had to go wide going into turn 3. This is a hell of a battle, man. This is George Russell. This is Mercedes, you know, really showing that they are back in this championship fight. George Russell has literally just taken a joke out of Max Verstappen. George Russell went for his normal move into the inside line. Verstappen went even further and took that inside line going into turn 1. But George Russell again taking the inside line going into turn 2 and turn 3. Verstappen tried to go on the outside of turn 3, tried to hang it out there, but Russell just inched him out slowly, very much what Verstappen would do to anybody else. And great battle between both Russell and Verstappen. We haven't really seen much battling between the two of them. Now Russell is in the Mercedes because of the issues that Mercedes have been having, but what a battle that was on that lap there between George Russell and Max Verstappen. And that, you know, was the DRS working for Max Verstappen as well. So if this continues, we hopefully will have a great couple of laps going in here. But yeah, great job from the pair of them not to cause an incident. And as I've talked, they're back round again, and oh, so it opened and then closed again. Russell will be laughing at this. Let me see. So we're on, once we get to about lap 32, I will take the who you think will win the Spanish Grand Prix poll down. So, and then hopefully I'll be able to see any more messages. So annoyingly, that's blocking the messages. So keep the messages coming through, and I will answer them hopefully in about 5 minutes time. Once we end the poll on the comment section. But as I say, please let me know who you think is going to win this race now. Will it be Charles Leclerc? I think he's looking very comfortable in this position right now. Max Verstappen is struggling with this DRS issue, and Carlos Sainz is down the order slightly. So it's either going to be Carlos Sainz or other, I think, at this moment in time. But yeah, then the engineer's telling Verstappen he's not sure Russell left him a car's width, but to be honest, that is very much what Max Verstappen would do. So that's pot calling kettle black for sure. Yeah, Max Verstappen would do exactly the same thing. So I think that would be very harsh from the race directors. They've noted the incident. I mean, a bit of a joke there, to be honest. You're telling me if it wasn't the other way around, Max Verstappen wouldn't have done the same thing? I think is a bit of a joke, to be honest. As Charles Leclerc gets the fastest lap, Max Verstappen looks like he's got DRS this lap, but can't close. Yeah, George Russell is really showing his caliber right now. Max Verstappen is trying everything, even with that issue with DRS. Oof, I mean, this is going to hurt because Perez is asking for Max to let him out of the way because he's going to be quicker and his DRS is working. No further investigation between Russell and Verstappen. That's very sensible. I would have been a little bit angry if anything had come out of that. But yeah, Perez asking if Max Verstappen can let him out of the way. I mean, that's not what Max is going to want to hear when he's in this championship battle between Leclerc. But I think if the team are being honest, if Perez is giving decent pace, he is closing very much between his teammate, his DRS is working every lap, it's just it's a sensible decision, isn't it, to allow him past. But yeah, Perez is telling them, why aren't you letting me by? And it's because it's Team Verstappen, you know. They're not going to want to let Perez by, are they, and have Max finish behind Perez in the order. We know Perez is on a one-stop, but yeah, this is Team Verstappen are going to have to make a real decision here about what to do. Russell defends turn one again. Verstappen close enough, but George Russell does defend once again very very confidently. He's showing his stuff here today, and Verstappen is struggling to get past. But yeah, Perez getting ever closer to this battle. Doesn't want to get too close because he doesn't want to be wasting his tyres here, considering he might be on a one-stop strategy. But yeah, I think Perez will have to get a little bit closer and keep going on the radio to say, let me by. But will Max let him by? Will Max just stay there? That's going to be a very tricky scenario for Christian Horner here, who, you know, as we all know, is very much in love. Oh, somebody's going slow. That's Leclerc going slow. Uh-oh. He's screaming on the team radio, this could be Leclerc out of the race. He's going very slow right now. He's going very slowly right now. Russell is going to be catching him up. I don't think... Oh no, I think they're clearing a space in the garage. He's coming in. Lap 27 and Leclerc is out of the race. Holy mother of God. This was a piece... This was easy for him as Max Verstappen is trying to take the lead of the race here. George Russell has taken the lead due to this issue with Charles Leclerc. Max Verstappen is now not just fighting for second, he's fighting for the lead of this race. Unbelievable. Charles Leclerc was literally in a world of his own, and the cars let him down. Wow. Russell is winning the race right now. Yeah, my man. This is the... Wow. I mean, the only benefit for Leclerc is that he hasn't had a DNF for this season so far. This has been the first one, but when you're winning so comfortably as... Ooh, oh, contact between Gasly and Stroll. Stroll spun around going into turn one. It's a bit silly. Oh, give up in the second sector as he's going into that DRS detection zone. I think he's just lost power. Wow. Verstappen's coming into the pits, I think. Yeah, Max Verstappen's coming into the pits, so he feels like he can't get behind George Russell, so he's going to pit. That, of course, lets Perez by, which is what they wanted to do. He's going on to a soft compound of tyres. They're not going to obviously have time to fix the DRS. It's just going to have to stay as it is in the race. But, yeah, where will this drop Max? Is he going to get out before Carlos Sainz? It's very close, but I think he should do it as he does. But, I mean, if Sainz can get him while Verstappen's trying to get the tyres back into the groove, then this could be interesting. Sainz being the lone Ferrari out there right now, you know, the Spanish driver, can he redeem himself after having a bit of an issue? Both drivers, as we said, had an issue into turn 4 earlier on. You know, can Carlos get everything out of this car? But I expect the engineers have told Carlos that Charles obviously gone out of the race with an engine issue, so, or what we expect is an engine issue, as Lewis Hamilton sets the fastest lap of the race. I mean, Toto will be very much licking his lips right now. I mean, Bottas is in 3rd place at the moment, but I'm very much expecting that once Verstappen gets them soft tyres up to speed, then he should overtake Bottas. But how long will them soft tyres last before Verstappen has to go back in again? Because we're only just over, well, we're not even halfway right now. A lot happened considering we're not even halfway. Perez and Russell had to deal with Magnussen there, who is being lapped by the pair of them. Charles Leclerc goes to wave to the crowd and speak to Mattia Binotto. But, yeah, really unlucky for Charles Leclerc, because as I said, he was dominating this race, was in a world of his own, and, yeah, Carl let him down. So, very gutting for Leclerc here. But, as I say, you know, there must be a little twinkle in the eye of Toto Wolff right now, seeing George Russell leading the race after the woes that they've had at the beginning of the season. Lewis Hamilton, unfortunately for them as well, is down in 14th. But if he managed to get in the points to the end of the race, then obviously it will be damage limitation as Gasly comes into the pit. So Hamilton moves up to 13th place due to that. So yeah, lap 30. Let me know your thoughts, because now that whole poll, I might as well end that. Who do you think is going to win the race? Because Leclerc is out, Verstappen is in 4th, and Sainz is in 5th. So I mean, it's still a possibility that Max and Carlos could win this race, of course, but it's looking very much Russell Perez. But Perez has got DRS. He's closing on George Russell. George Russell again goes to the inside line. Perez had the speed and he's taken the lead of the race. I mean, Russell's done an outstanding job to hold back as much as possible, but Sergio Perez had the speed there, managed to go round the outside of George Russell. George Russell, as usual, taking the inside line. Just done him so well so far, but yeah, Perez very much had that overspeed then with the DRS that is working on his car. And managed to swing round the outside that obviously goes into the inside of turn 2. So, yeah, great job from Sergio Perez. He's taken the lead of this race. But, yeah, I would say great job from George Russell. That's Zhou Guanyu, who's walking in the garage, so he's obviously not out there anymore. He's out of the race, but not sure what's happened there. Let's see. Oh, looks like... sounds like the same sort of thing Leclerc had. Yeah, that's an interesting thing, because the commentary in Sky said, and again, that's obviously a Ferrari power unit, and it did the same thing that Leclerc did. So the other Ferrari drivers out there will, yeah. Ooh, Verstappen trying to go around the outside of Bottas. Does just so. Verstappen is obviously on the soft compound of tyres, but Yeah, that was a great manoeuvre from Max Verstappen there on Bottas, but I expect the Ferrari drivers will be a little bit worried right now, considering the only two that have gone out due to power unit issues. But yeah, so that's Max Verstappen up to 3rd place. He's about 12 seconds behind George Russell, but is on the faster tyre right now. Carlos Sainz is coming into the pits. Decent pit stop that. 2.3 seconds. Good job from Ferrari there. He's gone on to the medium set. I don't think will that last him 33 laps, 34 laps? I don't know. Fernando Alonso is also coming in from 9th place along with Ricciardo as well. Yeah, Bottas trying to get the power down there as we're going into the chicane section, but Max Verstappen on that soft compound tyre, easy, just manages to get that grip and go around the outside of Bottas there. That's just a pure soft compound tyre there, working a lot better than Bottas's medium, but great job from Verstappen nonetheless there. I mean, who would have thought Sergio Perez winning this race? I mean, I'm going to win the driver poll right now because Leclerc had, from this look, Leclerc had 56% of the votes, but he is out of the race. Let's just see once that ends on the screen. Yeah, Leclerc had 56% of the votes, but he is out of the race. Max Verstappen had 32%, and there was 11% for anybody else on the grid. So thank you very much for obviously voting and letting me know. But yeah, unfortunately for everybody else, yeah, not good. Tsunoda's coming into the pits as well. He's in 8th place, but of course we'll drop down the order. And all the people making these pit stops is only helping Lewis Hamilton. He's now up to 8th place, so he's in the points right now. He's done 10 laps on his medium tyres, but when you think Sergio Perez has done 15, Russell's done 19, Norris just in front has done 20. So yeah, Lewis Hamilton looking pretty good here actually. When you think about it, he's in the points at the moment. Seeing this really seasick drone shot. I say seasick, but we're in the air, but it's giving me the vibes of sickness. I mean, Max Verstappen has closed. Well, this can't be Russell in front. No, it's a blue flag. It's a Williams. Oh, Latifi. I mean, he spends his life letting people out of the way. But yeah, Max Verstappen's about 6 seconds behind Russell now, so has managed to close the gap. He has got the fastest lap of the race as well. Lando Norris locks up his tyres there going into the pits. Doesn't need them anymore, but yeah, really locked up coming in then to get the speed down to pit lane speed. Ooh, that was a little slow. 3.9 seconds. Not a great pit stop there from the McLaren team. Fernando Alonso looks close to Yuki Tsunoda here. Does have DRS. Expecting this to be a pass. And is a pass. Lovely job. Fernando Alonso up to 10th place. So he's made 10 places so far. Has made 2 pit stops. Is on the soft compound of tyre. But yeah, is in the points position right now. About 4 seconds behind Norris, who's obviously just come into the pits and had that 3.9 second pit stop. So lost a bit of time. So Alonso will be liking the sound of that. As we see Bottas coming into the pit. So he was in 4th place, so he's pitting. What compound tyre are you putting on, Valtteri? He's got to go all the way down the pit lane. Complete opposite to what he had at Mercedes. He's putting a set of medium compound tyres. I do love the real at the wheel rims of that Alfa Romeo, with the red and white inside in the what would be an alloy of a normal car. But yeah, very nice indeed. I was too busy staring at the actual colours of the wheels. I didn't see what the time in the pit box was. So yeah, that wasn't great. But yeah, they do look nice, so it was worth it. Yeah, Verstappen's closed the gap to Russell. It's now 2.7 seconds, so they're expecting him to close up to Russell in the next couple of laps or so. I expect that, of course, that'll happen. The only issue that Red Bull have got to find out is whether the medium tyre will go the distance, in the sense that obviously Verstappen will be able to take Russell and overtake Russell in the next few laps or so, but will his soft compound tyres go off before Russell's mediums? You know, it could be that then Russell tries to gain the position back in, say, 8 to 10 laps time, depending on how long these soft compound tyres last. I think if you were a betting man, I would say that the medium tyres will last a little bit longer than Verstappen's softs. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, Sergio Perez is looking pretty decent right now. He's 5.7 seconds ahead of Russell. Ocon's pit in as well. So we're lap 36 of 66 right now. So we're over half distance, and as I say, Perez is looking pretty comfortable at the minute. I mean, I said that about Charles Leclerc, and he went out with an engine issue. So I think hopefully for Perez's sake and Jamie's sake, that you know, I'm not a bad omen for saying that when they're leading the Grand Prix. But yeah, he is looking pretty confident at the moment, as Verstappen is under a second of George Russell. But we had this about 15 laps ago, but we're not going to see that battle because George Russell comes into the pits. So yeah, George Russell and Mercedes deciding not to go that much of a long game and to go into the pits. What tyres are you going to put on, George? You're putting on a set of mediums. So you are going, I think you're going to try to go to the end of the race there. 2.6 seconds stop. And just going to see if Bottas is going to go past Russell here. No, George Russell is comfortably, that's Kevin Magnussen behind. So yeah, Bottas is probably about 5 seconds behind. So let's see now, because Mercedes are playing the tyre strategy here. Of course, you know, they've wasted a bit of time in the pit box, but of course they are on the tyre that can go more in terms of distance than Max Verstappen's soft here. I mean, I think they're obviously looking that Max is going to come back in as well and hopefully have stronger tyres to the very end of the race, but I think Mercedes have been quite smart here in getting it done now, and then seeing what could happen. Of course, we could have a safety car in which Mercedes later on in the race could basically just have a free stop. So yeah, let's see. Perez is in the pits now, which is interesting. So that's the one stop out of the window. He's going onto a set of medium tyres, and of course that means Max Verstappen is now leading the race. So Team Verstappen, or Team Red Bull, now sees their lead driver winning the race at this moment in time. But of course, I think we know that Verstappen's going to have to pit again. So let's see if Perez can sort of close that gap to his teammate on that fresh and brand new set of medium compound tyres. So I'll go through the running order once again. I mean, I'm hoping that it's still updating on the screen, which it looks like it is. We have Max Verstappen now leading the race. Does have the fastest lap. Sergio Perez has just pitted, so he is about 17 seconds behind now, so he's in second place. Russell is in third. We've got Bottas sitting fourth. Sainz is fifth, but he's closing on Bottas. He's within 2 seconds of the finished driver. Hamilton is sixth right now. Ocon seventh. Vettel's 8th, but again, I think it's because he's pitting later than any of the other drivers. We've gone on to the driver cam, so I've lost the leaderboard again, but I think Norris is sitting in 9th. We've got Alonso 10th, so as we say, great result so far for Fernando Alonso if he can keep this going. Tsunoda is 11th, Mick Schumacher is 12th, Daniel Ricciardo's 13th, Gasly 14th, Stroll 15th, Latifi 16th, Albon is 17th, Magnussen is 18th, and we have Zhou Guanyu and Charles Leclerc. The big news that is Charles Leclerc is out of this race, so both Zhou Guanyu and Leclerc are out of this race. The only 2 drivers are out, but the main one being Leclerc being out of the race right now, and we're on lap 39 of 66. Doing all this talking, I mean, whew. Thirsty work. I mean, Lando Norris is within a second of Sebastian Vettel, and as we said earlier, I expect Norris, as we go on to that, is going to overtake Vettel because Vettel is on an older set of soft compound tyres. So we're going on to the start-finish straight. Norris will have DRS. I'm expecting this to be quite comfortable for the British driver. And has done just that. Norris went to the inside line and has taken that 8th position from Sebastian Vettel. I still think, as much as Aston Martin are having issues with the actual performance of that car, I still think it's probably one of the better looking ones on the grid. I do love that British Racing Green on show. But yeah, the performance of it isn't as impressive as the actual livery for the car right now. And as a McLaren fan, of course, McLaren aren't doing the best at the moment in this season. I was hoping they'd be a little bit close to the front, but Norris is in 8th and Ricciardo down in 13th place. It's, yeah, not amazing news as a McLaren fan. So Bottas is still in 4th. Carlos Sainz is about 1.4, should I say, 1.4 seconds behind Bottas. I'm expecting this to become a battle in the next few laps or so. I'm just trying to see if anybody else is close enough to another car. We've got Kevin Magnussen and Alex Albon, which are probably the other 2 closest ones. Kevin Magnussen, by the way, is on the hard compound tyre, which you can obviously see on the driver leaderboard as well on the screen. He is on a hard set of tyres, so he's definitely going to the end of the race, but yeah, he's not going to have amazing performance right now for sure. So, but yeah, no safety cars, no virtual safety cars, no red flags so far, apart from the 2 retirees at the minute. It's been quite comfortable for the drivers out there. I mean, obviously we've had the issue with Verstappen and the DRS not working. That's the only real mechanical issue apart from the 2 engine issues for Leclerc and Zhou. Nobody else is really complaining at the minute of too much. Kevin Magnussen looks like he's... I was going to say he's unlapping himself, but he's not, because he's overtaking Alex Albon for a position. So Albon is the last car on track at the minute. But I think when we look at the end of the race, I'll be very much surprised if Kevin Magnussen's Haas doesn't have real damage from that incident with Hamilton, because Hamilton's been able to make up great time. He's now up to 6th place, whereas if we look at Valtteri Bottas, if we look at Kevin Magnussen, he's still around in 17th place. And I know it would have took Magnussen longer to get back around and obviously to go into the pits and change tyres. But yeah, we know the Haas has been strong this weekend, but he hasn't really made any real gains in this race. I would have thought he would have overtaken the Williams a bit closer, or a bit closer to the instant that they had, and it wouldn't have took this long to overtake Alex Albon. But yeah, Albon is at the back of the grid right now, and Magnussen has made that. He's already 3.7 seconds in front of Albon, so Williams' performance isn't amazing here at Barcelona this weekend. We've got Alonso, who's just over a second on Sebastian Vettel for 9th place. So I expect that's going to also become a battle in the next lap or so. Vettel, as we know, still going a little bit longer on his set of tyres. And we are, obviously, since the last race and the last race watch-along, as we now know, we are going to have one less race on this calendar. They're not having a replacement for the Russian Grand Prix, so we are doing 22 races this season and not 23. So that's something to consider now. So any retirements, are going to be more costly because obviously there's one less race in this calendar now, and you may say obviously it's only one race, but it is 25, 26 points at the end of the day. As we see the very beautiful and glorious Pastor Maldonado there in the Williams garage, obviously, as we know, was a winner of the Spanish Grand Prix 10 years ago today. 10 years ago this year, should we say, a decade ago. Pastor Maldonado for Williams winning the race. Great to see Pastor Maldonado there. And as I've been talking about and seeing Pastor Maldonado in the Williams garage, Fernando Alonso has DRS now on Sebastian Vettel in the middle sector. So I'm expecting as they get around to the start-finish straight that Fernando Alonso is ahead. They've had a battle already so far this race, and it's come full circle, and they're back to battling again. So let's see. Alonso's saving a bit of energy there. Obviously, as we know, the Indy finder, and we're not going to get that battle because Vettel's gone into the pits. So Alonso will take that place, and he will get the benefit of DRS, even though Vettel's not there anymore. But I was just going to say, of course, that we know Fernando Alonso has been trying to get that Indy 500 win. We saw the qualifying for that yesterday. Romain Grosjean is in the top 12 for the Indy 500 race next weekend. So great result from Romain Grosjean there to be part of the Indy 500, so that'll be an interesting watch. I don't normally watch too much IndyCar racing, but I always tune into the Indy 500, and it will be quite good to see Romain Grosjean out there. Callum Ilott is another one who's out there at the moment. But yeah, great to see Grosjean will be taking part on the Indy 500 next weekend. So we're probably not going to do a watch along for that because it is a long race. But definitely something to stay tuned if you're able to as well. Yeah, Max Verstappen's done 18 laps on that soft compound tyre. Perez and Russell have done 6 and 7 laps on the medium tyres. So obviously we know Max Verstappen's going to have to pit again, but is he going to go back onto a set of softs, or is he going to go onto a set of mediums? He obviously can't pit now yet, because if he pits, he's going to lose the place definitely to Sergio Perez, but I don't know if he's going to be able to extend that gap, because Perez is actually closing the gap down. So I think if Verstappen pits, he is going to lose that position. He is coming into the pits, as I say that, as I'm talking about that, he is coming into the pits. So I think they just could tell that he's not going to be able to extend that gap on them tyres. But Perez is going to take the lead of the race again, so he's on a set of mediums. 2.4 seconds stop. Perez is past. Where's George? George Russell. I think Verstappen's going to get George Russell here. Has just done so. I think unless they team order it, I think that's going to be the end of the lineup for the top 3, I think. There's a black and white flag for Lewis Hamilton for track limits. So Lewis Hamilton's obviously had a few of them issues, and he's been given a black and white flag. He's in 6th. I was going to say if he was out of the points, I'm not sure he'd care, but he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to have a 5-second penalty or a 10-second time penalty, depending. When he's technically in the points at the moment, but yeah, that's Max Verstappen in 2nd place, as we say. Does have the fastest lap of the race. Has got better tyres now compared to both Russell and Perez. It's about 7 laps younger tyres. So I think basically this is very much between Perez and Verstappen. I don't think Russell's going to be able to compete with the two of them. And it's whether they ask Perez to let him by. I don't think they would do that, surely. I mean, if I was Perez, I wouldn't listen. Because we're only 6 rounds into the championship. I know Charles Leclerc is not going to gain any points in this race, but even 18 or 19 points with the fastest lap is a bonus for Max Verstappen. I just think telling Perez to give up the position, I mean, what's the point in racing, to be honest? As we see Vettel overtake, is that Pierre Gasly or Yuki Tsunoda? He's DRS position. Oh, Carlos Sainz is in the pits as well. How many? Yeah, I was gonna say that's at least 3 pit stops, is it? But they've just said it's his 3rd pit stop. He's on the soft compound tyre, so bit of a stretch to go 20 laps on. I suppose it's possible, but it's quite a long stint to do 20 laps on the softs. But just got Charles Leclerc chatting. I think it's just saying obviously he had no warning of the power loss. It just sort of happened on that lap and couldn't do anything to recover it. It was just a power issue. On board with Lewis Hamilton. Is this Hamilton? I think we're watching Hamilton because of his track limits. I'm not sure we're looking at it for anything other than that. I'm not sure why we're on board with him, but I think, as we said, I mean, you know, and as Lewis Hamilton's engineer did say, that there is, of course, points still to go in this race, and you know, Lewis Hamilton would have, you know, given up in the first 2 laps, and here he is in 5th position, you know, getting a decent haul of points when you consider he had an incident in the first or on the first lap. So, yeah, great job, I think, overall by the Mercedes team to keep Lewis going, and you know, Russell's in 3rd as well, and hopefully at this moment in time is a good haul of points for Mercedes. You know, especially when you consider that Sainz is behind both of them and is the only Ferrari out there at the minute. I mean, Red Bull are 1 and 2, which isn't great, but for them, but yeah, definitely catching up on Ferrari. Just trying to see what the gap is between Verstappen and Perez. So I think Verstappen has closed on Perez. It's not telling me the gap. That's Sainz overtaking Esteban Ocon, I believe. So Sainz is now up to 6th. The gap's 1.8 between Perez and Verstappen. Gasly and Stroll are in the pits as well. They're down in 14th and 15th place. But this is Verstappen closing on Perez here. Perez was doing pretty well. I'm not sure. I mean, I know Verstappen's on 7 less lap tyres, for an example. But yeah, the speed sort of... Either Max has gained a hell of a lot of speed, or Perez has sort of dropped away a little bit. But this is going to be Max Verstappen's win at this rate. I would have thought it would have taken a little bit longer, but yeah. Oh. Wow. Okay, well, once again, Team Verstappen has got on the radio and told Perez that you're on a different strategy, let him through. But I mean, well, there's no shock there, to be honest, that Verstappen's probably come on the radio and said, I want to win the race, and Christian's gone, yeah, okay, no worries, and Perez is going to have to give the position up. I think that's very unfair, unless this is real speed and the fact that he's gained much more and Perez has lost it. But if they're on the radio telling Perez to let Max by if he's quicker, oh, there you go, and he's just let him straight through. I mean, Jesus Christ. What a shock. I mean, not. I mean, I know we've had teams do it before. Bottas has done it on numerous occasions for Lewis Hamilton. Fernando Alonso had the benefit with Felipe Massa over the years, of course. But, I mean, you know, it must really annoy you as a driver when you are clearly winning the race. You haven't spun off and gone in the gravel. Verstappen saying, oh, thank you, but I mean, you're not going to win this on merit, mate, because probably Perez would have won it if he'd kept the pace up, but he slowed down to let you by. I mean, that's the annoying thing for me about F1. I mean, if it had been like slightly different and it's like, you know, doing it for the team, then that's fine, but that's nothing to do with the team, because the team are still going to get the points either way. It's just the fact that they want Verstappen to win it. We're round 6. You know, if we were in round 15 or 16 and it was really close on points, then I would get it. But if I was Sergio Perez, I don't know. I just think that's... I mean, I know that's the thing of being in a top team. If you're not the number one driver, there's always that possibility that you are going to be told to move out the way, but so early on in the season, there's so many points. I just think, you know what I mean? Like, I want to win this race. But, you know, as I say, Team Verstappen, there's only going to be one winner, really. So, yeah, bit of a shame for Checo there, that he's basically just given up that position. You know, we saw the Russian Grand Prix, was it 2017? 2018, just trying to think, when Bottas literally had to let Hamilton by, and you know, Toto Wolff said after the race, I literally took that win away from you, and I'm really sorry. But you know, this is a bit like what we're seeing here. If Verstappen had overtaken him like on pure merit, and like say they made it look a bit more realistic, so like they'd waited for the DRS and he'd overtook him in the DRS zone, and then you could go, oh, okay, it was more of a real move. But the fact that he let him by before turn 3 and literally just like went off the throttle to allow him past, that's when it just looks stupid, to be honest. I know it's, you know, what is it, 8 more points from first to second with that fastest lap, but and I know that could look to be important at the end of the season, but yeah, I think if you're someone like Sergio Perez, you're just going to be like, well, you know, well, what is the point? I'm a Formula 1 driver to win races, and that's been taken away. But yeah, anyway, before I keep ranting, Lewis Hamilton is about to overtake Esteban Ocon for 6th place, and does just that. So Lewis Hamilton has the fastest lap, actually, by the way, as well. So he's took that off Max Verstappen. He's on the soft compound tyres compared to Verstappen's mediums, but he's took that point away from Verstappen now, so that'll give Hamilton a bit of a smile. Hamilton's teammate, should I say, Russell's been told to box. Is that Russell going on to the softs then? But I think he'll lose the position to Bottas, but whether they feel like confident they're going to take that position before the end of the race, we'll see. But yeah, Russell's going into the pits. Yeah, I was going to say, I think Bottas will take the position off Russell. Not not the fastest stop though, 3.4 seconds compared to some of the 2-second stops we've had in this race. As Bottas does go by, Russell's not at the end of the white line of the pit lane, he is now. So I would say he's about 2-3 seconds behind, I think. He's ahead quite comfortably of Sainz in 5th. 4.6 seconds the gap, so Hamilton once again sets fastest lap, but I would be surprised if Russell doesn't do the same thing with now being on a fresh set of softs. With the fact that it's 13 laps to go, what I might do is I might do driver of the day. Let's see if I can get the... I'm going to try and keep up to date with any information while I'm typing this. But... is that Lando Norris has just come in the pits? He's close to, I was going to say he's close to Mick Schumacher now, but it has come in the pits on a fresh set of softs. Yeah, so Mick's caught up, but I think very much that Lando Norris will pull away here. But this is Lance Stroll on Kevin Magnussen. Lance Stroll taking the position back off the Dane. I'm just trying to think who have we got on the list that we can say. Okay, so Russell is already past Bottas, so he's back on the podium. Okay, so sorry if I was being a bit quiet there, but I have just put driver of the day out on the scene, so let's just see that replay of George Russell overtaking Valtteri Bottas. Again, turn 1. Ooh, Bottas had a bit of a lock up there, but I don't think he really believed that he'd be able to keep that position on Russell, considering Russell was on the soft compounded tyre, is much faster in the race right now, and yeah, I think Bottas sort of knew that was coming, so why fight it on the tyres as Perez is coming into the pits. Perez utterly being dropped down the order. I know he's only going to be coming out. He's going to come out in second place, but yeah. So Perez is out. What's the team radio? Oh, great. You could have had the win, Perez, but don't worry. Have the fastest lap. Have that extra point. He's come out 4.4 seconds ahead of George Russell. Bottas is about 4.7 seconds himself behind Russell now, and Sainz is about 4.5 seconds behind him. So they're all within that 4-second distance. Alonso's coming into the pits now, which is interesting. I'm not sure how long he's been on his tyres for. He's done 2 stops, so this is a 3rd pit stop for him. He's going on a set of softs as well, but he's going to lose a place to his teammate. It is slow. That's not great. 5.9 seconds. Oh dear. Oh dear. That's Mick Schumacher overtaking him as well, so he's now in 10th position. So he was in 7th. He's now 10th, but he's on soft, so he should close in on Mick Schumacher. Wherever he can catch Lando Norris with just over 10 laps to go. As I say, please let me know in terms of your driver of the day as well. I have put the poll out, so please let me know who you think has deserved driver of the day. Do you think it's been Max Verstappen? Do you think it's been George Russell, Sergio Perez, or anyone else in the lead? I think Fernando Alonso's had a decent, as they're shaking their heads on the Alpine garage. But yeah, do you think it's been Lewis Hamilton who's made a great recovery? Valtteri Bottas has done a decent job in 4th. let me just see, Fernando Alonso, I mean, he has just dropped down to 10th place, but I think overall, starting from the back of the grid, he's done a decent job as well. So there are a number of people that you could vote for in terms of the drive of the day. I think if I was being honest, I would say George Russell, just because he hasn't really put a foot wrong. He hasn't spun off the track like Verstappen and Sainz have. He has defended well against both Perez and Verstappen. So, and he's still on for a podium position. So I think overall, I think I probably would, on merit, give it to George Russell. But as I say, let me know in the comments section, and of course voting as well, who you think is the driver of the day, as well as we're seeing the tyres of Valtteri Bottas. He is losing time to Carlos Sainz, so whether Bottas is going to come into the pits, he's made 2 pit stops so far, so it could be that Bottas comes in. I can't see that he's coming into the pits, so Sainz is getting ever closer to Bottas, so I expect Bottas is going to lose this place to the Ferrari driver at the minute. Hamilton is in himself closing to Sainz, so as the commentators say, it's very much that Hamilton is still technically on here for a 4th place, but I think Sainz should take this. But Hamilton is closing within a second each lap to Sainz, so yeah, still very much on for 4th place for Lewis Hamilton at the moment. As we see Fernando Alonso, as we said, he's overtook Mick Schumacher on the fresher set of tyres. It's just whether or not he can catch Lando Norris getting into the latter stages of this Grand Prix. So I mean, you know, I think in terms of the race so far, we did say as Perez now takes the fastest lap, so takes it back to Red Bull. We did say that, I don't know who's coming to the pits there, but that was a lock-up. Is that Albon? There was a shot of Tsunoda overtaking Mick Schumacher, and there was just smoke in the pit lane, but I think it was a lock-up from Albon as he came into the pits. But yeah, I've gone off topic again. As I said, you know, at the beginning of this race, it would be judged on the actual overtaking manoeuvres, and, you know, would it be better at the Spanish Grand Prix that we've seen over the years previous? I think the winner of this race is going to cover the cracks of the Grand Prix, just because if Leclerc hadn't had that engine issue, then he would still be 20 seconds up the road. I have no doubt in that. I think he would have still won this race comfortably, and it would have been the person that was on pole went on to win the race. But of course he's not going to, because he is out, so it is going to be a different winner than the person that was sitting on pole. But I still think overall it's been a decent race. I think it's been a lot more entertaining than Miami a couple of weeks ago, because I just think that needed the safety car, whereas this one hasn't really needed it. There has been some action, that the DRS has been used on the start-finish straight. It's a bit pointless in the middle sector because it's not long enough to be that effective, but I would say the start-finish straight has seen some overtaking manoeuvres and some great defending from the likes of Russell, and I think you know, Perez did some earlier as well. So, you know, I think it has been a decent race. I think, yeah, like I said, it was better than Miami. This one hasn't needed the safety car, but I know a lot of people question DRS, but to be honest, I think it's still something that's needed in the racing at the minute, because, you know, when you watch W Series, for example, and I have been getting into that this year, I've been trying to watch it because obviously there's some great drivers in that, and, you know, Jamie Chadwick once again is dominating that series. And every time I watch her, I just think, you know, how good would it be if she was in Formula One? I think it, you know, should be a thing. And as I'm talking about that, Sainz has overtook Bottas, and Hamilton looks like he's gonna go around the outside of turn 3 and has just done so. So he's overtaken his ex-teammate there. So Hamilton has overtook Bottas as well as Sainz. So Sainz is up to 4th. Hamilton is in 5th. Hamilton could get this 4th place. He's just over a second on Carlos Sainz, so we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, I do think, like, when you look at it, I think Jamie Chadwick should be given the opportunity of Formula One. I think if anyone was going to be the first female into the sport, I think that would be a prime example. If she goes on to win her 3rd W Series in a row, you know, when you look at the likes of, and, you know, this isn't being harsh at all, but when you look at the likes of drivers like Nicholas Latifi, yeah, Bottas is saying that this, the stint they're on has not been great because he's just lost 2 places in 2 corners. But you look at drivers like Nicholas Latifi, and like I said, no disrespect, but he is normally at the bottom of the grid in terms of qualifying and the race. I know Albon's there at the moment, but it's like, it would be quite interesting. Put somebody else in that Williams car. Let's see what they do. Yeah, they're not gonna, they're not gonna get podiums or whatever. But I think it would still be. You look at Nick de Vries, for example. He went in there on practice 1 on Friday in Albon's car, and he finished ahead of Latifi in 1 practice session this whole year. And Latifi's been in that car for 6 races now, or 5 races before this, and Nick de Vries beats him in practice 1. I mean, yeah, they could have been doing different stints, but yeah, I just think it would be quite interesting to put somebody in that car. And like I said, there's no disrespect to Latifi. He's seems like a nice enough guy in the paddock, but he's had a few years now, and was beaten by George Russell, and Albon's been beating him quite regularly this season. I know, like I said, he's going to finish behind Latifi today. But yeah, that's just my opinion. But going back to the W Series, they don't have DRS, and some of the racing there, they just follow each other the whole race. Like they can't get close enough. All of them have the same engines, and that's another point in Formula One when they're all like, oh, they should all have the same cars because we would just see what driver skill is. But a lot of the racing, like the W Series, even with the driver's skill, they can't catch up because they're all in the same powered cars. So the racing is just a little bit dull. So the DRS is still needed, I think, in this sport to keep the overtakes going. When they have a long DRS straight, like they do here at Spain, Lewis Hamilton's got DRS here, chasing Carlos Sainz, and the speed he's able to get to try and make that overtake manoeuvre. He's going to the outside line. Carlos Sainz goes to the inside, but Lewis Hamilton swings around the outside, and as I say, that's DRS affected. That's given the aid from DRS, and Lewis Hamilton is now up to 4th. So we've got Red Bull 1, 2, and Russell and Hamilton, Mercedes 3 and 4. So great result for Mercedes in the long run here. And to say Lewis Hamilton 2 laps in was saying we should save this engine, he's now up to 4th place. Great result. But yeah, that's my opinion on this race. I think has been better than Miami, and we have seen overtakes and great defending manoeuvres. But I still feel like there's a bit more to go with these regulations, and obviously that'll improve as the years go on, as we saw with the hybrid era for some teams. You look at, I know Red Bulls was basically the last year of that era, but they were able to catch up. There was a bit of a battle between Ferrari and Mercedes a few years previous, but yeah, I still feel like there's a bit more to go on these new regulations, because the racing is decent, but it's not setting the world alight. We're seeing Max Verstappen here driving on his own because Perez was given team orders to stay behind. So now Verstappen's in a world of his own. Leclerc was in a world of his own, when he was still in this race before he retired. So yeah, there's more mid-team battles, of course, but the whole reason we moved away from the last era, I think, is because they were bored of the Mercedes dominance. But there's still dominance there's always going to be a team that gets the most out of the regulations. And at the minute, Red Bull, I think, even though they've got reliability issues, are faster than Ferrari overall. Even though I say that, like I said, Leclerc was going to win this race pretty comfortably, but I think Red Bull is still the fastest car on the grid. Ferrari are behind, and then Mercedes have made some great ground, so I would say Mercedes are now in 3rd in terms of the fastest, and they've done a really good job this weekend, don't get me wrong. So as I say, let me know in the comments who you think's deserved driver of the day. As I say that, Verstappen is now 20 seconds in front of Perez. So it's been a nice gift for Max Verstappen. Like I said, he may have overtook him on track, but yeah, it's just the fact that Perez had to let him by when Perez was doing such a great race, and he's now going to come away with a second place when he probably felt like he could win the race. But yeah, I mean, shame for Perez, but Max Verstappen is the golden child of Red Bull, so he is going to get all the nice little gifts from Christian Horner, and he is going to at this rate win the race. There's about 4 laps to go, so he every race he's finished this year he has won, so he's going to keep that record going now, unless there are any last minute issues. But he's going to go from the angry one we saw fighting with George Russell in the first 20 laps when his DRS wouldn't open to winning by about 19 seconds on his teammate at the end of the race. So but I think overall a decent race. I think for Red Bull, obviously you're going to take this, when your main championship rivals, probably their best driver at the moment as well, has a retirement issue, then it's golden, isn't it? So yeah, I mean, Leclerc and Ferrari are going to be absolutely gutted. Sainz, did have issues. He has made that places back up the order now. He was about 11th. When they had that issue and he spun off the track, he's now moved up to 5th place, so it has been a damage limitation for him and Ferrari in general. So they're going to hope for better news in Monaco. Like I said, Red Bull are obviously going to take this a 1-2 for their team. Russell and Mercedes, as well as Hamilton, 3rd and 4th. Of course, they're going to take that with the issues they've had for the first 5 races as well. As we see Latifi overtaking Kevin Magnussen. So I've been taking a bit of a thing about Nicholas Latifi, but he's just overtaken Kevin Magnussen. So fair dues, I suppose. After the moaning of him about 5 laps ago, is up to 16th position now. So we'll just have a look at this overtake. DRS goes to the inside line of turn 1. Great overtake. No, fair dues to Latifi. I have just been saying that, he was beaten by Nick de Vries in practice, but and maybe bringing in someone like Jamie Chadwick in for next season, but he has done a decent job there getting past getting past Magnussen, should I say. Daniel Ricciardo is closing on Mick Schumacher as well. Been a little bit disappointing for Mick Schumacher, and of course Haas in general, with Magnussen down in 17th after that issue with Lewis Hamilton. We're going on to George Russell's cam. I'm not sure why. Oh. Wow. Okay, so that's interesting. Carlos Sainz might get a podium here. Both Hamilton and Russell have been told to lift and coast because this is a critical DNF issue. So I don't know if that's heat warning or fuel load, but they're being told to lift and coast. I think it might be like heat warnings, maybe the brakes. So they're being told to cool the car whenever possible. They're in clear air, to be honest. Both Russell and Hamilton have nobody in front of them. Russell's about 3 seconds away from Hamilton, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue between the two of them. But, oh no, Russell's further up the lead than Hamilton, isn't he? Yeah, he's about 15 seconds, but Carlos Sainz has took the place on Lewis Hamilton here because he's having to go a bit conservative. So Toto Wolff was happy a minute ago, is pretty angry right now, but nothing they can do. They just had critical warnings on their car for DNF risks if they don't cool the car down a little bit. So that is, Hamilton was told on the radio that if you have to let the place go, let the place go. It's only Sainz that is going to be the issue here. But he's going to finish 5th. I don't think Sainz is going to catch Russell now because it's only 2... Well, we're on the final lap, so... Yeah, weird for Mercedes that, unfortunately for Hamilton, he's had to let that place go to Sainz. I mean, luckily, like I said to Russell, Sainz is 14 seconds up the road and they're on the final lap of the race, so he won't be able to catch them. So, you know, good overall now to finish for Sainz to finish in 4th place after that issues he had at the beginning. But as I say, we are on the final lap of the race now. It is going to be Max Verstappen that takes this win. Perez has the fastest lap at the minute. He's 14 seconds behind. Russell is 15 seconds behind him. So at the minute it's going to be Verstappen, Perez and Russell that are on the podium. But as I say, if you're Perez, you might be a little bit gutted at the end of this race that you are going to take that 2nd and not 1st. But yeah, that's a discussion for in-house, I'm sure. He's coming through the final sector here. Is Max Verstappen. A lot of Dutch fans in that final sector cheering him on. All the orange t-shirts. They've come in there, thousands as they normally do. Coming through the final little chicane here into the final corner, and that is Max Verstappen winning the Spanish Grand Prix. And that'll be Sergio Perez will be coming. He's coming through the final sector now as well. He's coming through the final chicane, and that's Sergio Perez there, crossing the line in 2nd, and George Russell should be coming through the final couple of chicanes here as well. He is. Sainz is nowhere near close enough, and that's George Russell taking 3rd place. So great result there for Mercedes, and lucky for Hamilton that he's have to let Sainz by here with that DNF, possible DNF risk, but... Yeah, Sainz finishes 4th, so decent recovery in the end for Carlos Sainz after that issues in the first few laps or so. I'll go through the running order in a minute once everyone's crossed the line. Checo is a great teammate, is what Max has just said on the team radio. Yeah, I think that would annoy me slightly as Sergio Perez, as I've said, but that's a discussion Sergio Perez has got to have with the team. But you know, as you know, the team are always going to back Max Verstappen. There's no doubt about that. Unless Max Verstappen's out of the race, they're not going to push Checo. But we're going to hear some team radio here. Okay, so his engineer has said thank you for everything in this race, and Perez has just gone, I'm happy for the team, but we need to speak after the race. And I think that's fair enough. You know, as Mark Webber used to say, not bad for a number 2 driver when he used to win. And I feel very much like it's a situation that Perez has got if he goes and wins a race. But would Mark Webber have let that place go? Don't know, especially not at the end of his Red Bull career. But yeah, Perez is obviously he's doing contract talks, I think, about extending another year, so maybe that's his way of doing it. But I think if you're a driver and there's a choice of trying to win a Grand Prix race, you know, considering, you know, Perez has only won 2, yeah, I think I would be annoyed, and yeah, I mean it would be easy for me to say I wouldn't have let him by, because I'm not in that situation. But I think if you're Perez, you really need to question it, because it's, as I've said, if it was like 15 or 16 races in, and then points are really, really needed, then of course, you know, if Perez is nowhere near winning the championship, then that's what happens. But they're only round 6 out of 22, and I just feel like Perez could have won that race today, and it wouldn't have been that much of an issue. But hey ho, that's something to maybe discuss in the next few days or so as they head to Monaco. But yeah. So I'll go through the running order now. Everything's finished. So he's just seen Latifi, I think. But yeah, Max Verstappen wins the Spanish Grand Prix. Sergio Perez comes in second. As I know, you know, talking about discussions about him could have maybe winning the race, but let his teammate by. With about 20 laps to go. George Russell in third, decent podium result for him and Mercedes, especially considering they were having issues with both cars at the end with warning lights. Carlos Sainz finishes in fourth, great recovery drive considering what happened in the first few laps where he spun off into the gravel, a bit like what Max did as well. Lewis Hamilton comes home fifth, could have been fourth if it wasn't for him having to let Sainz by due to having to cool the car down. Bottas finishes 6th, good result for him. Esteban Ocon is 7th, Lando Norris 8th. Fernando Alonso is 9th, great recovery drive from Fernando Alonso as well, considering he started at the back of the grid. Yuki Tsunoda gets the final point, decent for him. Vettel finishes in 11th, we've got Daniel Ricciardo 12th, Pierre Gasly 13th, Mick Schumacher unfortunately finishes in 14th place for him. Stroll finishes 15th, Latifi 16th, Magnussen is 17th, and Alex Albon, unfortunately for him, finishes at the back of the grid. And of course we had 2 retirements, them being Zhou Guanyu and Charles Leclerc, both of them with what looks like power unit issues for Ferrari engines. So by the sounds of what George Russell's saying here in these like post-race interview here, he's saying he's had to be a bit conservative with the car throughout the whole race. So the fact that he was able to defend Perez and Verstappen at that time as well was, yeah, great drive really from George Russell, as I say. So I'll just wait until the end of these interviews, and then I'll end the drive of the day pointer before finishing. Obviously I'll finish the stream when the trophies are lifted up. But yeah, good result from George Russell. Oh, so this is Max's first I suppose that is true actually. Max's first victory here since 2016 when he won his first Formula 1 race, because Hamilton's won the last 5 here in Spain. So yeah, so Verstappen's up to 110 points in the championship now. Leclerc is 104. So I suppose them 8 points have seen him jump it, but Perez is talking to Helmut and Christian, but you can tell he looks unhappy speaking to him there. But I mean, I suppose when you look at the points, that's why they've done it, because Verstappen would be leading it going into Monaco. But yeah, Perez is going to be annoyed, you know, especially when he's on 85 points. So them extra points for him would have been quite important. He would have been up to 93, I think. So he would have only been about 10 to 15 points behind the 2. So for Perez, that would annoy me even more now, having looking at the Drivers' Championship points, because he would definitely be in contention for this top 3. But now it's Verstappen and Leclerc are pulling away slightly. I mean, I know it's a benefit that Leclerc didn't finish, but yeah, will be interesting to see what Perez's thoughts are after the race. Whether he's been told to be very conservative, we'll hear from him now. But He's putting on a nice brave face, but he's putting on a brave face, but you can tell Perez isn't happy. He just oh God, Pedro De La Rosa's just said great team player. Not the word you want to hear. Bottas was told that a number of times, that you were a great wingman. That's basically being told that. I mean, not what you want to hear if you're Sergio Perez. Yeah. I think I've probably said my piece about that, to be honest. We have gone back to this driver room, though. He's sipping on a Red Bull and I've got some orange squash. I would love to see more of a battle between Verstappen and George Russell, because I think the few laps we got between them two was really good and really promising. Yeah, I would say I'd like to see that a bit more going forward. Yeah, we keep losing the sound. Russell's laughing at the fact that Verstappen went off. That's quite funny. At least Verstappen and both Russell and Verstappen were saying that was a good little battle, and I agree. That was probably the best bit of the race, was there. Both of them defending and attacking really well in them couple of laps between each other. And that was good, hard racing and fair. And that's why I said I'd quite like to see maybe them batting it out a bit more as we go into the season, and Mercedes keep making this progress, because we know they're a top team. We know they've won 8 championships in a row, and Lewis Hamilton, has won 7 world championships at the team. So, or 6 world championships, should I say, at the team. So we know. We know that they've got that capability to make that progress. They started last year in really not the most amazing position, and still ended up winning the Constructors' Championship. And you could say Lewis Hamilton did deserve the Drivers' Championship as well. So the Mercedes still have it in them, and of course will probably win races this season. But of course, they need to keep these up, because Verstappen and Red Bull and Leclerc and Ferrari are going to start pulling away if they don't make that progress as soon as possible. But they have made great strides going into this weekend, and the fact that Russell's on the podium, Hamilton maybe should have been in 4th place and was unlucky in the end that Sainz was that close to him. But yeah. I'll end the drive of the day while they're just doing the national anthems. Let's see who you voted as driver of the day. Thank you for voting. Max Verstappen is your driver of the day. Interesting. Probably the one I wouldn't have gone for, but he did well. Don't get me wrong. I think the issues he had with DRS and the fact that he still managed to win the race, I think that's, it's fair enough to warrant giving him driver of the day. I think probably overall Perez did a better job And like I said, we could keep talking about how maybe Perez deserved the win over Verstappen. I mean, like I said, it might have changed at the end of the race. You know, Verstappen may have caught him on merit. But yeah, I think Perez did a issue-free race. And George Russell again, he got 15% of your votes, but I think maybe he deserved driver of the day. I don't know who got it in Formula One's driver of the day either. I don't know if there's any way of me finding out. Making the clicky noise. Is it going to tell me who won driver of the day? No, it's not. Just a bit annoying. Nope, doesn't tell me. It's a bit of an average looking trophy, isn't it? A little bit disappointed. Normally they make loads of like nice fancy looking ones for the event, but that I was gonna say the guy was literally just holding that trophy. He didn't want to give it up to the to the constructors. He just kept holding it. I think he was going to take it home with him, but was then told he had to give it away. Sergio Perez gets his trophy. Yeah, they just look a little bit basic. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. In terms of the chat, yeah, view from Lookout. Max Verstappen only won so well was down to Sergio Perez being a team player. Yeah, I agree. But I think, I think Perez is annoyed that people have used team player already. He said we'll speak. He said we'll speak later, and I think, yeah. I think it's unfair that he let Max by earlier, but then Max wouldn't let him by, or they didn't let Perez through when he needed it to happen, and then of course was told to let the position by later on in the race. So I feel like he's been really harshly treated today. But when it is Team Verstappen, that's what you get. It's very difficult to change the Red Bull mindset. They've always been like that. They've always had one driver that is their number one, and they say they don't, but they do. Vettel was always it over Webber. They then moved to Daniel Ricciardo slightly when Vettel started to falter, and then Verstappen came in and took it from Ricciardo, and Verstappen has had it ever since. And it's very difficult. Horner will be like, oh yeah, we're very much a two-driver team, but they're not. It's we know it's Team Verstappen, just like Mercedes was Team Hamilton over the last few years. Obviously, no doubt in that. But yeah, it will be interesting in the next few days to see if Perez actually puts a bit more information in that. But yeah, as I say, that's a good point. Perez was a good team player today, but as a driver, when you want to win each race and you have the opportunity, as I just hit my elbow, as you have the opportunity to win each race, it's disappointing to be told to let your teammate through. So yeah, but yeah, I think that's a great way to sort of round off the stream now. We've obviously got the football that's going to be kicking off, or just about to kick off, should I say, in terms of the Premier League. And then, of course, the mighty Wrexham are on in 15 minutes' time as well in their FA Trophy final. So going to be keeping an eye on that as well. So yeah, as I say, great result from Max Verstappen. He now leads the Drivers' Championship going into next weekend at Monaco. So that'll be an interesting one to see. Obviously, Charles Leclerc got pole last year but wasn't able to compete in the race. So, can Charles Leclerc get pole again like he did this weekend? But actually win the race at Monaco? That's going to be an interesting one. Can Verstappen keep this momentum up? Mercedes have made some progress. Can they somehow get one lap pace, to get pole position in Monaco? Next Saturday at the Monaco Grand Prix will be very interesting indeed. So yeah, thank you very much for watching myself go through this stream on my own this weekend. It's been great to do it. A decent weekend in terms of racing. I think it has been an improvement on last year in terms of this race, but I still think there's a bit of a way to go. Just going to have a look at that one last point. Yeah, tension between teammates with this lineup is why I'm a McLaren guy, not in the winning circle. I'm a McLaren guy as well, but it is disappointing to see where they are at the minute. I mean, great result from Lando Norris to secure 4 points for the team this weekend, but yeah, I think disappointing overall because Daniel Ricciardo doesn't get any points. And yeah, just not where I want them to be in terms of McLaren at the minute. But yeah, hopefully they can make some progress as we go on through the year, because they want to at least be best of the rest. I think obviously Mercedes have edged above them now, but it is very much, progress is needed still for McLaren. But yeah, thank you very much, guys, and everybody for watching. I'm not sure about next weekend in terms of the Monaco Grand Prix, but I expect one of us will be doing it, I'm sure. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and yeah, we will see you all in the next one. So take care, and we'll see you all soon. Thank you.